This has the coolest restructuring of the court cards I have seen in a long time. The art is a beautiful homage to Pamela Colman Smith. The overall energy of this deck is whimsical without being fluffy, and the sigil cards are nothing like anything I own. So today I'm walking you through my first impressions as I unbox the Sion Tarot and Sigil Oracle and explore what makes them stand out. This is a pair of decks by Luciana Pena and published by Artisan Tarot, who very kindly sent me these decks for review. I am deeply excited. I've not spoiled myself. I've not watched any unboxings, but I have seen them popping up on Instagram. So let us dive in. I have, like I say, the Sigils, Oracle, and the Tarot deck. I believe there are 22 cards in the Sigils deck, and then the Tarot is a full... Oh, it's an 80 card deck. So 2 bonus cards in there somewhere. And then also this adorable little art print postcard, which is going to go into my, I don't know, journal or up on my wall or something. Before I dive in, I want to make some pre-first impressions statements. I think I'm going to love the color palette. I think I'm really going to appreciate the fact that this is very pixie-like in art style. It's very Pamela Colman Smith-like. I can already see, based off this image here and just some of the things I've seen online, that I think it's going to be a little bit like fun and whimsical, because we've got these broomsticks for the 3 of Swords. We've got the evil eye all over the High Priestess's robes. This gorgeous cat. And the sigils, I have no preconceptions about this. This is going to be really cool. This is the first deck like this that I've owned. I know there's a couple of different sigil decks out there, but this is inspired by the Major Arcana. So let's dig in, shall we? I'm going to, I think, unbox these side by side, I think is how I'm going to do it. Based off this, I wonder if maybe this is going to be a little bit pippy, but then maybe not. It's definitely combining some of Pixie's illustrations. But yeah, the Sion Tarot brings the Rider-Waite-Smith tradition into a new era with hand-drawn illustration inspired by the divine, feminine, alchemy, and witchcraft. Immerse yourself in vibrant, inclusive imagery that features iconic figures from antiquity, esoteric symbolism, and ancient mythology. And then for the Sigils deck, transforms the essence of the Sion Tarot's Major Arcana into 22 mystical symbols of power. Designed for focus and manifestation, it's the perfect tool to empower your rituals and illuminate the journey. Use it as a standalone deck to gain vision and direction, or pair it with the Sion Tarot for more comprehensive readings. Both of them contain a guidebook. Can I just say, the production quality on these decks pleases me immensely. I like this little 2-part box. I like the little illustration details. Ooh, it's linen. And those backs. I'm happy. Okay, so the backs complement each other beautifully. Quick little peek at the guidebook. Forward, introduction, meanings, tarot spreads, conclusion. Oh, it's so cute. Ooh, my tarot journey began when I built my first Marseille deck. This is a note from the creator. And I did say I thought it might be hippie, so that could be cool. The meanings looks like we've got some renamed majors. 2 pages for the majors, some keywords. And then for the minor arcana, page each, it looks like. And then a couple of spreads at the backs. This, I'm gonna wreck this guidebook. I can already call it. A book spine hates to see me coming. And then same little, different little introduction, maybe. Slightly shorter introduction to the sigils. We've got a reading list. I love to see a reading list. The art of sigil creation. And then for each of them, okay, so it is showing us how she got to the end result based on the major cards. I love that. That pleases me greatly. I really like to see, because sigils is not something I do a lot with, and I've never had a sigil deck before, so this is new to me. But I really appreciate seeing this, like seeing the working, almost like seeing how we got to the end result. I will be very intrigued to read some comparisons between the Major Arcana cards and the sigil cards in the guidebook. And we've got some sample readings, which I think is very cool. So like examples of how you might read them, reading methods. Ooh, this is going to be great. I'm going to dig into all of this. That's adorable. Okay, excited. Very quick little flip of the guidebooks, but I know we all want to see the cards. I've just split the majors out from the tarot deck so that they're kind of matching. So title card, information about the artist. I'm assuming at the beginning, ooh, that's the Fool. I thought maybe it was a bonus card, but no, it's the Fool. I love this hugely. This is so cute. It's whimsical, it's fun. I love her fun little boots. And I do see the way the sigil matches up, and I like these little details in the corners with how they match up with the Major Arcana card, and like these stars, the stars on the cat, and like the shape of the sigil. I can see it. So the beginning and wonder. Ooh. The Magician and Discovery. I love this. This is fantastic. It's like she's in the cauldron, which is fun, but like we've got all the symbols from the Rider-Waite-Smith, and like it's very pixie-like illustration style. Okay, I'm curious whether this matches up with the like keywords for the major cards, perhaps. For our Magician entry in the guidebook, keywords: creativity, personal power, self-confidence, expertise, opportunity. Discovery is a new and different word, so naturally I have to look up the same card. Keywords: determination, positivity, willpower, new opportunities, focus. So if we look at the keywords, there is not any repeated keywords, I don't think. We've got opportunity and new opportunities, but otherwise they're different, which I really appreciate. It doesn't feel like recycled, and it feels like I could use this as a bit of a separate entity, or maybe like a specific perspective on the Magician, which I think is cool. The description of the sigil obviously it directly references the Magician because this is a deck of sigils based on the Major Arcana. It's not trying not to be the Magician, but it's not just the Magician again. Does that make sense? Okay, and then there's a usage for each of the sigils, which I think is very cool. The guidebooks were pretty for a minute, but I'm always gonna wreck my guidebooks, I'm sorry. Okay, moving on. We've got the Priestess and Serenity. Very, very beautiful. I love how the background colors match. This color is delicious. This like dirty yellowy green. The Elevation. Okay, so this is a big departure from the Empress. I love how she's great. And Expansion, which is such a good word. Like we've got our Venus shield. We've got our 12 stars there on her necklace. I love the hair, Witch riding the broomstick. That's fantastic. The Emperor and Foundation, which personally I adore this as a keyword or key message, or like concentration of the Emperor. That's kind of how I'm feeling about truly first impressions, because as you've seen, I have not read the guidebook, but that's so far how I'm feeling about these sigil decks. They feel like a concentration of the Major Arcana cards. And I like that we're seeing a little bit more diversity in a very Rider-Waite-Smith style deck. The Hierophant, okay, this is a huge departure from the Hierophant we're used to seeing. And Empowerment, which also a huge departure from the Hierophant I think we're used to seeing. Do I want to look up another card? This might be a very long video if I keep this up. Ooh, it depicts Lilith, okay. Rebellion, which is not what I associate with the Hierophant whatsoever, but that's cool. Okay, these keywords: liberation, conviction, spiritual guidance, self-questioning, sincerity. There's a couple different ways I think you can interpret the Hierophant, and my personal interpretation is more along the lines of like a teacher. And this is much more the like spiritual, and also I think it's directly speaking to the like authority that often exists in the Hierophant card. I feel like this is a response to that. It will be interesting to read a Hierophant that I can't read in my usual way. Like that'll be interesting when that comes up, to see how it feels when it comes up in a reading. The Gathering instead of the Lovers. I love the Sun, the Moon, and Reflection. My immediate thought is like a mirror reflects. The Movement and Direction with what would usually be the Chariot. Like we've got a lot of the usual symbols. Justice in position 8, and Triumph. This is very Joan of Arc. Something that I like about the style of this is that they're kind of floating on the background, which is a stylistic choice that I really like. Okay, this Hermit card, the Wise One. Oh, get a closer look at that. That's gorgeous. Oh, I really like that. I really, really like that. Like we've got the eclipse in the Moon card, and then this water, and then like receiving that wisdom. That's very cool. And silence. for our sigil card, the fortune and luck for the wheel. I love this illustration. And I love this little dragon eating its tail that is on both of the cards. That's really fun. Okay, strength and courage, fair enough. I really enjoy this depiction. I think that's really fun. What is he holding? Why can't I break? That's annoying. Why don't I know what that is? Okay, he's devouring the sun, as you do. What is he holding? Oh, that's going to drive me nuts. Anyway, very cool card. This is, oh my gosh, this is one of the cards I've seen on like Instagram. I love it. The pretty pastel colors, the pixie style artwork, the whimsy, the bunnies. So this is our hanged man. We've got the dream, which is a really interesting take, and solitude. Oh, this is another gorgeous, gorgeous card. Oh my goodness, these illustrations are just stunning. The dissolution and release instead of death. We've got temperance here. I enjoy this with the lilies in what might be an apple, might be a heart, like an anatomical heart kind of thing, or like a sacred heart kind of heart. And then protection, which is not a keyword I usually, or not an idea that I usually associate with temperance, so that will be interesting to look up. Ooh, Lucifer for the devil, fair enough. And illusion. Illusion is an excellent word for the devil. Solve, coagula. That's alchemical, right? This is like a tiny detail, but I noticed it on the, I noticed it on the Hierophant as well. So we've got like the Hierophant and the devil, both with these same wings. The gradient on these wings is just gorgeous. Okay, the liberation for what would usually be the tower, and transformation. I think it's interesting that she's holding a sword, because that is of course one of the symbols of the suits, or the symbol of one of the suits. And I don't know if it's intentionally linking it to the air suit, to the sword suit, but that's what I'm noticing. And that's also presumably what's mirrored here. Oh, that star is just absolutely beautiful. This gradient in the background, and just like the way it's a little vignette. And I like this, is this her hair wrapping around, and it's got like the pride flag colors in it? I'm assuming that is intentionally the pride flag colors. I've decided that it is. Anyway, and affection for our star sigil. The moon, which is a fun take on the moon. I know from a glance this is the crown of the Queen of Swords in the Rider-Waite-Smith, which is fun. I don't know if that's like an intentional reference to the Queen of Swords, or if it's just using the existing artwork, but it's cool either way. And then perception for the moon, which is interesting because my go-to keyword is illusion, and illusion and perception are kind of two sides of the same coin. So it's interesting that that's what's been like foregrounded with the sigil card. Bloom is a beautiful keyword for the sun, which is honestly, like, funnily enough, night and day. The sun and the moon card there. That's really lovely. And it reminds me of the Empress card, because that was the same. And then this also, it's like I love being able to pick out the bits of Pixie's artwork, because this is the world card is what I'm seeing here, with that cloth wrapped around the figure there. Yeah, so that's our Empress, and they're the same color background. I wonder if the background color is to do with anything. That will be interesting to potentially figure out. Okay, the prophecy is our judgment card, and transcendence, which is a fantastic word. I am not entirely sure what's happening here exactly, but I am going to enjoy finding out, because this is obviously like the cloud that the hands extend from in the aces, and then we've got the Ouroboros, candle, the crown, like Mad King vibes almost. And then finally we've got the universe for the world, and unity. I love these little critters instead of the traditional animals on the world card. We've got a bunny, we've got a snake, we've got a frog or a toad, and I guess a raven or some such. And yeah, unity there. Okay, oh my god, gorgeous. So before I dive into the rest of the tarot deck and the minor arcana, I am really excited by this. I like that there is enough of a nod to the major arcana cards, even though some of the symbolism is obviously different from the Rider-Waite-Smith. Like here, this would be the Judgment, and like this is not the traditional Judgment card. Although I suppose you do have the clouds in the Judgment card, but like a lot of this, like here, this is, none of this is on a traditional Fool card, but it is matching up with the equivalent in the tarot deck. So there's a nod to the Major Arcana. I like having a keyword. I like that the sigil is quite obviously mapped onto the tarot card, like it's not been altered too much that I can't sort of visualize the tarot card. And I'm really interested to dig into the guidebook to like see why these themes have been brought out for the sigil, because there's lots of different themes in any single tarot card, so there's a lot of different angles you could pull, and I'm really excited. So that is the sigil deck and my sort of initial first thoughts. And now let us continue with the tarot. So we're in the wand suit. I love this ace. I think this is gorgeous. I love the daisies instead of the usual buds you see on the Ace of Wands. We've got the like flaming, like the Sacred Heart. Okay, and it is Pippi. Right. So this is like the Marseille. No, hold on. It's usually the swords that are curved in the Marseille, isn't it? So it's like a Marseille, but not. It's kind of remixing it. Interesting. But there is our Two of Wands. And, you know, he's still holding one of the wands. I do love the way that it's like framing the image. I think that's very cool. Our Three of Wands reminds me a lot of our Empress equivalent, who is also a 3. Being very like fierce there. Four of Wands. Five of Wands. These are much more reminiscent of the Rider-Waite-Smith. They've been less edited, less remixed. Oh, that's gorgeous though, for our Six of Wands. Like different moon phases. Oh, that's interesting. Our Seven of Wands being burned at the stake. I'm not quite sure what to make of this, I'm going to be honest. I suppose actually, okay, the Seven of Wands is about standing up for what you believe in, and maybe you're being burned at the stake for what you believe in. The Eight of Wands, that's very cool. This like, I'm feeling like meditation, like going inward or going somewhere else to get that message. That's really interesting. For the Nine of Wands, we've got somebody who looks to be kind of frozen in time or frozen in place somehow, which is interesting for the Nine of Wands, like a sense of stasis. And then the 10 is just the Wands from the Rider-Waite-Smith, and these butterflies, which are cute. I love a butterfly. If you're new here, hi, my name is Sylvie. I love a butterfly. And I love the flowers on the wands as well. That's really beautiful. Ooh, we have fun courts. Okay, we've got our Guardian, Warrior, Queen, the Reincarnation. I actually have no idea which is which. This was the first one I came across, which would usually be the Page, but Guardian, I'm not sure, would usually be a pagey kind of designation. I'm going to assume the Queen is the Queen. The Warrior has got to be the Knight, right? The Warrior's got to be the Knight. Let's look at the guidebook instead of making wild guesses. Yes, so the Guardian replaces the Page, Protector, and Nurturer, representing the initial stage of learning, and they are the companions to the Queens, which is interesting. The Queen comes next. The Guardians lay a foundation of care and protection where the Queens can express their mature and nurturing energy. Okay, the courts have been completely reworked. This is really cool. The Warriors replace the Knight, serving as protector of the Queen, so they're next in the sequence. And this placement reflects a deliberate progression similar to transitioning from the High Priestess to the Empress in the traditional tarot. Just as the High Priestess embodies a stillness and reflective energy, which then evolves into the more active, outwardly expressive power of the Empress, the Queens represent a calm, nurturing presence, and in contrast, the Warriors symbolize movement, action, and protection. This shift introduces a strong and feminine energy into a traditionally masculine role. Okay, so when the description of this deck was talking about divine feminine, alchemy, and witchcraft, it meant it. Not to sound surprised, but so often you hear that and it doesn't really mean anything. But this court has been completely restructured, which I think is so cool. Okay, and then so the Reincarnation is the spiritual gift of the Wands suit, and these spiritual gifts replace the kings at the end of the sequence. They represent a transcendent power that surpasses any earthly hierarchy. So it's the uppermost capability of the suit. So the king position, or what would usually be the king position, is still the head of the suit, the like, not upper limit of the suit, that's not what I mean, but like the ultimate expression, the most of that suit. And so that's what this is here. And then here in the Guardian, the Queen, and the Warrior, it's restructured it. The hierarchy of this court is completely different to a normal like Rider-Waite-Smith or even Marseille or Thoth, like just a normal or typical tarot deck. The hierarchy is completely different, and it's less of a power structure, which I think is very cool. So kudos to the creator for actually actually restructuring the deck. I can't be the only one who's really sick of seeing like, oh, it's a feminine deck and all they've done is like put the queen at the head of the suit instead of the king, or the king is represented by a woman. And I'm like, that's not really, if you're not addressing the structure of the court, if you're not addressing what is unfeminist about the court, and you're just like gender swapping it, I don't think that really does very much. So this is really, really cool to see. I'm very excited about this. Let's put everybody back in order and move on to the Pentacles suit. So this is like the wheel combined with a pentacle. That's very, very cool. We've got some like astrology glyphs, it looks like. I love the life in this pentacle ace. I think that's gorgeous. R2 is like almost a mirror image. It's just some like color swapping. So that's very cool. The 3 of Pentacles, like this is the arch from the 3 of Pentacles, but then it looks like a mirror or a portal or water or something, which is very interesting. Oh my goodness, how cute for the 4 of Pentacles. Oh, I really like this. Oh, that's whimsy. Didn't I tell you? I told you at the beginning I'm expecting whimsy, and whimsy I am receiving. This is the 5 of Pentacles, which I think captures the like the spirit, the vibes of the Rider-Waite-Smith 5 of Pentacles without being as like, I don't know, there's something that's always rubbed me the wrong way about the 5 of Pentacles, like, oh, look at some poor people in the snow. And this isn't what this is doing. So I appreciate that. This is delightful. This 6 of Pentacles, we're giving and receiving. What do I always say about the 6 of Pentacles? I say that it's about reciprocity. Because again, the 6 of Pentacles always rubs me the wrong way. You've got poor people in the snow in the 5 of Pentacles, and then some virtue signally rich guy in the 6. And that's not what's happening here. We've got reciprocity, giving and receiving, the earth, Pentacles, the broomstick, however you want to look at it. I don't know. I'm forming my thoughts as they're coming out of my mouth, so I'm not quite sure what I'm saying. But I really like this. I like this a lot. Still got the scales, still got the same configuration of the Pentacles. This is beautiful. 7 of Pentacles, very similar. We've got the harvest, but the way that it's framed, it's like maybe the harvest is coming from within, something like that. The 8 is also really just beautiful. I love all the broomsticks throughout this whole deck, and the kind of nod to traditional witchy symbolism. This is fantastic. Our 9 of Pentacles here, rich bitch in her garden, kind of, but more in a fabulous dress. Okay, and then our 10. So again, this is the same configuration that we usually see in the 10 of Pentacles, and we've got this like community or group. Oh, it's a bunny. Okay, our guardian, our bunny guardian, our mushroom queen, our honestly kind of intense looking warrior, and then the manifesting. Oh my god, and the Venus flytraps. I'm obsessed with this deck. This is amazing. Okay, I didn't realize that it takes so long. The deck arrived and it's absolutely incredible. Did you see this?
Hello.
Look, it's Venus flytraps.
Oh, amazing. That's so
and cool. A bunny.
A bunny.
This is the court. I'm so excited because it's not like page, knight, queen, king. It's completely restructured. So this is the page.
Yeah.
And then the queen comes next. And then the knight comes next. And then the king is like, it's a different keyword for each of them because it's like the ultimate, I think it's called the spiritual gift, or like the ultimate like manifestation of the suit. Cool. So it's completely restructured.
Yeah.
It's not just like doing a gender swap, like, oh, look at how progressive we are. Like it's actually restructured. It's so cool.
That's really cool. Nice one.
Okay, I was interrupted by my partner coming home and I don't know if I'm going to leave that in. I really love this, the manifestation as the Pentacles, is it spiritual gift? Yeah, spiritual gift. Because manifestation is a word that I already associate with the Pentacle suit, so I think that's really cool. And I just think this bunny is adorable. It's like a nod to the rabbit in the Queen of Pentacles. It's so pretty. Okay, right, the swords, if you're new around these parts, the swords is my favourite suit because I am an air sign. I'm a Libra. I like to think. I like to talk. So the swords is usually my favourite suit, to see what they do with it. And I'm actually, okay, I'm saying it now, I have high expectations for the sword suit in this deck because I have just fallen in love with this deck already. And the sword suit sometimes I think is done really dirty. So this might be a little bit of a make or break suit for me. But I really like this ace. I think that's really cool. That's just really interesting. The way it's like broken up / made more deadly, perhaps. Two of Swords. Pretty classic, but also reminds me of the High Priestess somewhat. Three of Swords, also pretty classic. No, Three of Swords is, I don't love the way the Three of Swords is depicted. Oh, this is interesting. Four of Swords, we've got like a meditation happening, which is a little bit more active than the Four of Swords often is. So that's cool to see. Oh, this is interesting. This is less backstabby than the Five of Swords often is portrayed, but also is reminding me a little bit of the Seven of Swords. Like if this was a Seven of Swords card, I'd believe it. So I'm interested to see what the seven's going to be. Six, that's really beautiful. That's really beautiful. That's just a really beautiful composition. And I do feel like the figure is much more of like a ferryman, much more of a Charon. Like I'm getting more of like a River of Styx kind of vibe from this. Just interesting because it's just like a flip of the different perspective, literally a different visual perspective on what the Six of Swords usually is. Okay, and there's our seven, which is a complete departure. This is the sun rising over in the distance from the Death card. This is such a fun deck. If you're familiar, I mean, I think it's fun if you're not, but if you're familiar with the Rider-Waite-Smith, it's like playing a little like Where's Wally kind of thing. This is really interesting, and I actually have no idea what this means, so you'll have to look this one up, but I think that's very cool. Ooh, I like the 8. I really like this 8 of Swords. I like this configuration of swords, and I like the maze. I love the sort of metaphor happening there. You're being trapped in a maze of your own thoughts, like a moth in a bath. This is a good 9 of Swords. Again, it's pretty classic, but I like a melodramatic 9 of Swords. And I also like a melodramatic 10 of Swords, and I'm not disappointed. That's great. And less stabby. I know some people have issues with how stabby the 10 of Swords is. I think it's honestly kind of funny. Not because I think being stabbed by 10 swords is funny, but like, it's just so many swords, you know? Like, it's really a bit of a overreaction. Anyway, this I think is very cool. I think it represents like air element as well, because it's like a tornado. So that's really cool. Right, the Guardian. Ooh, Queen. Oh, it's what's she called? The night sky in Egyptian mythology, and painted like this on the ceilings of like tombs and temples and such and the like. That's really cool. Okay, and then the invocation. So much to think about. Right, the Guardian of Swords, let's be honest, is pretty straightforward. I think it's very cool, but it's pretty straightforward. Moving swiftly on, the Queen of Swords. This is interesting. We've got like the meditation and this like lotus blossom. This is the crown of the Queen of Swords in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And like this little heart opening is really interesting. The warrior is gorgeous, and like I said, I love this. And then the invocation, this is just beautiful. Like these cards are so gorgeous. I don't know if it's theoretically possible to read what's going on there, but I can't do it. But that's really interesting. So there is obviously an alchemical element to the theming of this deck. So this kind of like practical magic thing is, I assume, what's going on. But I also like the idea with the sword suit, the air suit being so much about like words and communication. I really like the idea that you can just invoke words in a much more mundane sense, and that could also be what this is depicting. I think that's really cool. Warrior. And finally, the Cups suit. I'm getting less convinced that the background colours mean anything the further we get through this deck. This is gorgeous though. The little mermaids in the cup. Wonderful. Oh, this is so pretty. 2 of Cups. The 3 of Cups. This is straight out of the Rider-Waite-Smith, and I'm not mad about it. Ooh, this is cool. The 4 of Cups. We've got this like mermaid tail again, and it is otherwise very close to the 4 of Cups, but it's in a different sort of arrangement. This composition is interesting because I'm less convinced that the figure is ignoring the cup. Maybe they just can't see it. And then the way the water is running from somewhere and then out of the bath or the fountain or whatever this is. Oh, the bun. Okay, 5 of Cups. And I want to like tie that to the Pentacles suit, but I don't know if that's appropriate. Like, I don't know if that's what's intended. Oh, this is bizarre. I always think the 6 of Cups is bizarre, let me be honest. So it works. But like, yeah, a lot of this is the same. We've got the lilies. We've got this like weird sharing or giving or receiving or something between like a little old child lady and the other figure in the card. There's a lot of people have a lot of interesting theories about the 6 of Cups, and it's one that I kind of want to do a bit of a like deep dive into. This continues that tradition. Ooh, interesting. Okay, 2 thoughts. Oh no, 1 thought that has been rendered void. So my initial thought was this looks really cool, this like mandala. My second thought was, oh, I like the cups to all have something different in. And then my third thought was, well, they do. I just was captured by the pretty colours. So that's gorgeous, no notes. I think they are all the usual things we see in the Rider-Waite-Smith 7 Cups. Off the top of my head, our 8 of Cups. We've got a witch flying away. That's very, very 8 of Cupsy. Oh, that's really beautiful. The 9 of Cups are like mermaid surrounded by riches and such and the like. This is so gorgeous. This is another card I've seen on like Instagram and in like preview images and things, and just fell in love. This family tree and the rainbow and the children at the foot of the family tree. I think it's just gorgeous. And then our final court, we've got a toad and a fish in the cup. Our queen, our warrior, and the premonition. And we've got this looks a little bit like Botticelli's Venus, but maybe that's a reach in the reflection. So the premonition is our spiritual gift. I think this warrior is beautiful with like the water bending going on. This is just so cute. Our queen is beautiful, very high priestess-y, which was the point. So I should not be surprised by that. That was in the guidebook, that the queen is kind of like the high priestess and the warrior is kind of like the empress. Oh, they're beautiful. And then this is just a bonus extra card, which I'm gonna display somewhere somehow, along with this little postcardy print. So it did say 80 cards, and so those would be our 2 extra cards from the tarot 23 full color deck. So this is our 23rd card from the Sigils deck, rather than like alternate cards or extra cards, which I actually quite like. Usually in a first impressions walkthrough kind of video, I would do some playing with pairs, but I don't think I want to, at least at first. I want to enjoy this deck for what it is. I will say, okay, let's talk about the like practicalities of the deck. The cardstock is absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to do a shuffle in a minute, but can you see how like not bulky it is? Does that make any sense? I'm pretty sure like it's a linen finish, which I think you can see in the reflection there. It's gorgeous cardstock. This is my favorite kind of cardstock. I think that riffle was user error because this is quite a rough fabric and I think it caught on that. So let's try that again. This is one of those decks I could sit and shuffle for hours because it's just beautiful. It feels like the Terra Volatile, maybe a little bit thinner than the Terra Volatile. It's a very, very flexible linen. You saw when I was doing the riffle and bridge shuffling, like it's very flexible, very bendy. It's really thin and springy. And because it's got the linen finish, it's got like a beautiful slip to it. Okay, I did just say that I don't think I want to pair this with anything, but I do kind of want to pair it with a Rider-Waite-Smith. I think that could be an interesting little experiment. And of course, what I should do is pair it with Pixie's artwork. But what I have to hand is the JK tarot. But I think it would just be very interesting to like see which elements crop up. Let me bring in the sigil. Oh, that's pretty. Okay, I'm gonna leave them sitting there because I think that looks really good. What were my initial thoughts before I started looking through it? It has got the whimsy that I wanted. It has blown past my expectations in terms of the sort of restructuring, reframing a little bit of the deck, like that court. I am so excited about this court, and maybe I will finally make that court cards video that I've been talking about for honestly I think at least a year. I want to pull out my decks with my favorite court cards and just show them off because that's fun. Maybe this will prompt me to actually do that because the court cards in here are really exciting to me. This is the cardstock that it reminds me of. I was just thinking to myself, favorite court cards, Game Marseille. And it is extremely similar. Like, I can't tell if they feel different. I obviously have had the Game Marseille for longer and shuffled it more. I know this is another indie deck, so it's not a very easy point of comparison, but if you have the Game Marseille, the cardstock feels identical. And look, here are some of those gorgeous court cards that I love so much. And actually, the color palettes, very complementary. And in the sort of author's note at the beginning, it did say that she started with Marseille decks. I hope that's correct. I haven't paired a Marseille with a non-Marseille, I think, ever. But maybe that's something interesting to, oh god, the colors. They want to be friends. These two decks, blue and the blue, these two decks, they want to work together. Have a little cry. Queen of Wands will cheer you up. Nine of Coins, King of Coins. They are out shopping for luxury goods together. The Seven of Cups and the Page of Cups, they're both having a little dreamy delusion. They want to be friends. Knight of Coins, Ten of Cups. They're building, they're growing things. I'm obsessed. This is a tarot that I'm going to be able to jump straight in with. And I think if you're familiar with the Rider-Waite-Smith with Pixie's artwork, you will also not have a lot of trouble jumping in. But it is enough of a departure that I think it's definitely not a clone. It's extremely not a clone. It's enough of a departure that it's also probably worth doing a little bit of like not deck study, but like spending time with the guidebook, digging into it. Like, it's not just a basic Rider-Waite-Smith based deck. Like, the restructuring of the courts, I think, is really, really interesting. I love to see decks that are actually like playing with the tarot structure and kind of reframing and restructuring it. So I think that's really exciting. These sigil cards, I don't have anything like this in my own collection, so it will take me, whereas I can dive straight in with this, it's going to take me probably a minute and some experimenting to figure out what I want to do, how I want to use these sigil cards. I expect I will begin maybe pulling them, like working with them together. Maybe I could pull a sigil card and that could be a theme for my reading, and then I could pull some cards to answer the like how and the what and the where and the why. I think that's probably how I'm going to begin, actually, is pull a, should we do that now? I'll do that now to close out this video. Let us pull a sigil card as our like theme, and then pull a couple of tarot cards to respond to it. Only thing I will say, it's really hard to shuffle the 22 card deck because there's not enough there to grab onto. Unity, which I believe is the world equivalent. Integration and completeness, the four elements, harmony. So the usage for this sigil is to foster harmony in relationships. Keywords: integration, completeness, alignment, love. Okay, do you know what you could do, which I think is what I'm going to do? This usage could be the like theme of the spread, or the main question, like how do I foster harmony in my relationships, for instance? And then you could put a tarot card for each of these keywords. So how do I foster harmony in my relationships? And then like, how do I bring in these 4 keywords? How do I focus more on integration? How do I maybe stop looking for completeness, alignment, love? I'm riffing off the top of my head here, and I'm not sure that was very convincing, but I think there's definitely something you could do with that. So our theme of unity, fostering harmony in relationships. So our theme is unity, and the advice from the tarot, what it has to say about this theme of unity is 3 of Wands and, ooh, Queen of Swords. Okay, can we just admire the color gradient there? That's beautiful. So on the theme of fostering harmony in our relationships, on the theme of unity, we've got the 3 of Wands, which represents expansion, foresight, and the successful implementation of plans. So I guess you can't have the whole world if you're not planning for it. And then the Queen of Swords. And then the Queen of Swords, a firm, forceful, intellectual, independent, and spiritually harmonized person. That's an awful lot of adjectives. So I guess in fostering harmony in relationships, look for somebody who is already spiritually harmonized. Is the answer there? So I guess have a plan and be the compassionate, harmonized person you want to see in the world. I don't think I need to summarize. I think you already know that I'm very excited, that I think this deck is beautiful. I get the impression that it's going to be very usable. And the Sion Sigils, I think, feels approachable. It feels very accessible to somebody like me who's not worked with sigils really much and has never used a sigil deck before. So first impressions are all very good. And I think, like I said, the art is absolutely stunning. I love the nod to homage remix of Pixie's artwork. I think that's really, really cool. And I'm going to get a lot of joy out of reading this deck and like recognizing bits and pieces from the Rider-Waite-Smith, because I think that's fun. And like I said, I think the restructuring of the quartz is just extremely, extremely cool. It makes me very excited to see a deck that is making those kind of changes, like actually restructuring, like for instance the court cards. I think that's really cool, and I'm just very, very happy to see it. Very happy to have this in my collection. I'm sure you will see this sooner rather than later on my channel. So yeah, that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of this deck. I will of course leave a link to Artisan Tarot in the description, which I believe is the only place you can get this deck. Like I said, they sent it to me, but I'm not being paid, and all thoughts and opinions are my own, etc. But I will leave a link to where you can find it. And I will also try and link the artist's like Instagram and stuff as well. I'm immediately going to go follow her because I think her work is so cool. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if you want to see that court cards video, because I think this deck will have renewed my excitement for thinking about the court cards. I'm going to cut myself off. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for spending some time with me. All of my info is in the description. Come join me on Patreon if you want to see more kind of deep divey thoughts about the court cards. We did a whole month of court cards in the Tarot Lab not long ago, so there's loads on there for that. Give me a like if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.